Good evening and welcome to another edition of Mental Health Monday, brought to you by Saving Grace Community Church and Grace House Cincinnati. Joining me tonight once again is our co-host and our cohort, Dr. Quentin Moss, founder, CEO, and Chief Medical Director for Modern Psychiatry. Good evening.
How about that? Good evening, my brother.
Good evening. Good evening. Also, we are happy to have with us tonight, joining us from here in Cincinnati, Ashley Terry, who is a personal trainer and also a native of Cincinnati, person that we've known since we were 3, hairstylist coming and joining us from ATL, Atlanta tonight, Keena Jackson. Hello, ladies.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
And welcome to tonight's show. Dr. Moss, we had a great kickoff for our Taking Care of Yourself series last week. And one of the things we learned and were reminded is how much our mental is connected to our physical, and how important it is to take care of ourselves and not to feel guilty for practicing self-care.
That's right. We talked about the importance of routines, trying to keep up our physical appearance. And that means, of course, taking care of our hygiene, but also exercise and, pouring into ourselves so that we can be our best selves, trying to push off depression and anxiety. It was a good talk.
I said last week, and I'll repeat it again for the benefit of the ladies that are with us tonight, that we've always used the idiom that beauty is skin deep. Well, that may be true sometimes. A little upkeep is not bad. A little work with the kitchen, a little upkeep with the grill, a little upkeep, for some of us trying to keep this down, or at least maintain a high metabolism rate that keeps it down, is very and very, very important. Keena, in your world as a hairstylist, tell us a little bit about how long you've been a hairstylist, why you even became a hairstylist, and how is life being a stylist in ATL?
Well, I'll start with how I became a hairstylist. I was still in Cincinnati and I was in school, just kind of going through, the day-to-day routine, going to college, working. And they started filming a movie there, Rage in Harlem. And I met the makeup artist. My brother was working on the movie. He said, "You need to come down. This is what you do for fun in your bedroom." And so I actually went to New York and started working as a makeup artist.
Mm-hmm.
Came back to Cincinnati. I was like, I'm getting my license, and ended up in Atlanta. And it just took off from there. I had my son in the meantime, so time did not really permit for me to work on movie sets because I had done that. And it was, you work long hours and you don't know when your day is going to end, 12, 18 hours. And when I had my son, I was like, I need something more stable. I need to be at home. I want to come home in the evening. And, so I started doing hair here in Atlanta. I started at Saks Fifth Avenue, built a great clientele. And I've had J Mal Salon now for 17 years.
So being down in Atlanta, do you have any clients that are celebrities?
All my clients are celebrities. all of my clients are celebrities. When I first opened, people were kind of like, "Oh, you should have like a special area, for your special clients." And I said, "All my clients are special."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was very important because I had students who were freshmen coming in from all over the country to Spelman.
Mm-hmm.
They were coming to me. I wouldn't want to separate them from the women who were already established, who had good advice and just good conversation. You don't want to separate that. So I never went on that celebrity path. I do have very special clients.
Wow. Wow. Ashley, tell me a little bit about what you do as a personal trainer, and how did you get in that line of business? You look fit. I'm sure if we went out and ran right now, you would outpace me. So how did you get? How did you become a professional trainer?
Yes,
Are you
I'm
there?
sorry. I am. My Wi-Fi must have
It's okay.
messed up a little bit. So I'm sorry. What was the question? I didn't
The
hear
question
all
is,
of it.
what led you to become a personal trainer?
Okay. So what led me was really it was very reluctant for me. I did not want to do it at all. But I had a lot of people who came to me asking for advice, asking me how I did, asking, for pointers. And I actually reluctantly did it because it just didn't. I knew the struggle that you have to go through in order to go from where you saw that I was to where I ended up becoming or where I ended up being. And it's not easy, it's very mental. Um, and so I didn't want to have to try to push people to get to that point, to get over that barrier, because it is a very high barrier to get over mentally. So I was very reluctant to do it, but people kept coming to me, people kept asking for advice. And so I realized that it was really something that people needed, people wanted, and I had the tools to provide the information, and I knew the struggle, so I knew what angle I needed to come to people with. So I did it reluctantly, and I love it. I'm glad I did it. It's been a blessing to me. It's very heartwarming to see people reach those barriers, go over those barriers, because it is very mental. So to be able to see people, go through the struggle and make it past those obstacles is very rewarding to be able to help you get through that.
So besides just being in your presence and getting and get being motivated, why else would I want to come to a personal trainer instead of just work out on my own?
Because a lot of us do not come with um, we need someone to motivate us to get past those hard parts. So when we get to a roadblock and we're at a plateau and we're like, I'm not seeing any changes. What do I need to do? We typically don't know what changes we need to make. So the personal trainer is there to help you and guide you to get past that plateau, or to get past that obstacle, or to just give you the nudge or cheerleading you on to go to the next step, because it some of the parts become easy, but then you just need that nudge to say, okay, you need to change a little bit here. You need to change what you're eating. You need to get rid of a little bit of stress in your life. You need to push yourself a little more. Sometimes we don't push ourselves hard enough, and we need somebody to say, okay, you could do a little more. Um, so that's why we need a personal trainer. We sometimes don't know what we don't know, and so the personal trainer is usually there to help you with that.
Well, Dr. Moss, I do a little, walking, running. You just came from the gym. uh, in terms of how important, what happens to us from a biological standpoint and physiological standpoint, what happens to our bodies that is beneficial to us when we have a regular workout routine, a regimen?
From a mental health standpoint, the battle that psychiatrists, psychologists, and therapists has is trying to find a way to flex these neurotransmitters, which help us to reduce depression and reduce anxiety. We prescribe medications that affect, serotonin and dopamine. But when we get into regular exercise, when people are able to get into running, weightlifting, weight resistance, we're able to release these endorphins, which then help us to release dopamine, which actually helps us to feel good. And when we feel good, then our mood is better. But this neurotransmitter also helps us with being able to focus and concentrate, being able to set goals. So it helps with a number of things. But even beyond that, when we suffer from depression for extended periods of time, we actually have atrophy or wasting away of some of our nerve cells. And
Mm.
exercise releases this chemical called brain derived neurotrophic factor, which
Mhm.
helps these nerve cells to rebuild themselves.
Mm.
And the more nerve cells we have and the more connections we have, then our brain functions better. So
Mm.
less depressed, less anxious, have better memory. Not to mention that, but exercise affects our genes.
Mm.
So it affects our telomere links, and that's one of the markers that tells us, our biological age. It helps us to be able to survey our gene pool to release the healthy genes and try to keep those dysfunctional genes at bay. So exercise does a lot of these things on the front end and the back end to help us with our mental health.
So if it helps with our marker, so a little workout, and with some people with a little aid of face cream might really help us stay looking young, right?
That's right. I mean, exercise helps our bodies look good,
Hmm.
and not just our physical physique, but many other aspects of our health. And, it's a funny thing. We can dial up exercise with our walking to hit certain parts of the brain, which helps us with mood and anxiety. And then we can dial up our walking in a different range, which helps us with our memory. So we
Mm.
can fine tune our routines to be able to help us with some of these deficits that we have when we think about various mental health conditions.
Well, you mentioned feeling good about ourselves, and certainly back in the day, when before my hair began to leave me, and I made the conscientious, intentional decision that my head would not look like a golf course with patch over here and patch over, and I just take it out. when I'm but back in the day, I love going to the barber shop. I still get a shave because I could leave there and I felt good about myself when I had the fade. It was tapered. It was great. And so uh $20 billion, Keena, is spent in our nation on people feeling good and making decisions conscientiously through hairstylists to make themselves look good. And there are some nearly 2 million people uh, who work in your industry, with at least 12% of them being African American, 64% being white. So there, we get that need uh, to look good. But Ashley touched on something, and I'm sure in your line of work, how much of your work uh, is helping a person decide what style to go with, what's going to look good on them, and the other part of just listening to what they're going through.
It's one third, and one third. So it's basically it's interesting because we're in a era right now that I'm very happy with, that Black women are learning to love their hair in its natural state. I so love that, and I've been in business in the 70s and 80s when Black women didn't actually have the freedom to do those natural styles with their hair, and now they're able to transition and work in the workplace. So it's making them feel good with what they have and what they have to do. We had to adjust at some point, maybe more than we care to. And now we have more freedoms. And we
Mm,
have to learn how to take care of our natural hair all over again because most of us, including myself, was getting my hair relaxed, from the
mhm.
age of 15 up until about 10 years ago. So it's transitioning, and all of that makes you feel good when you can connect more with your natural identity. I think it is just more uplifting, and it creates um, confidence.
Mhm.
It creates
Mhm.
confidence in the Black woman, and with that, I get to have all these conversations about how people feel at work. I get everything from work, relationships. I am the Dr. Moss. I am the psychiatrist in the salon behind my chair.
Sure.
And you have to listen. I hear a lot. I hear a lot, and I have to stay grounded in order to be able to offer, some advice, or just sometimes just listen. And
Um,
that may be the only time of day that somebody had listened to this person.
Well, that whole piece about building confidence in which is in more women in the professional workforce, they are not getting perms. They are letting their hair grow and just doing. Um, I have some women in my life getting their hair wrapped and all that kind of stuff. Uh, so that's a very important thing, and you're right because so much of what we've done in the workforce is to try to assimilate, and while doing that, we have put aside our ethnicity, our being proud about who we are, and so you're absolutely right. So fewer questions, I believe, nowadays are being asked of African American females by their white coworkers. Can I touch your hair? How do you do it? And that's over the years, that's something that they've had to deal with. And having matriculated in my bachelor's level at a predominantly white institution, some people have not seen us up close and lived in quarters and dorms, and they want to know what you're putting on your hair. And wow, that's wow, So, but there has been a preoccupation, fascination with our hair texture and so forth and so on. But it's a wonderful thing now that we are embracing that, and that in many work areas they are embracing that too. Go ahead, Keenan.
Absolutely. It's and one thing that I think that's very important for just women in self-care is, embrace whatever you want to do. Because we don't want to knock the woman that wants to wear her hair natural. We don't want to knock the woman that wants to wear her hair braided. We don't want to knock the woman that wants to wear her hair straight, or the woman that wants to I don't wear weave, which is something I've never done in my career. I've never done weave. So it's weave, but I don't want to knock it. We just have to be happy with what we choose to do and do it for the right reasons.
Mhm.
Do it for the right reasons.
That's
And one,
good.
I'm gonna say this, and just with because I did say I don't do weave and I didn't do it. My personal experience is that it was messing up the natural hair underneath. I knew what the long term effects of wearing weave was going to turn out to be, and it did happen.
Hmm.
Now people are learning they have to take it out. They're losing their edges. I mean, I could see it coming. I could see it coming.
Well,
So
it's a great thing that people are embracing the real you. I remember that movie. I don't know if you remember that movie. I'm gonna get you, sucker. And he start pulling
that
off
works.
this and pulling off arms and legs and stuff like that. And that whole artificial time,
Mm-hmm.
has
Mm-hmm.
passed now.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, when people come to you, Ashley, um, there's some things they have to be concerned, obviously, about the image. And I think Keena alluded to the motivation behind that. How much do you delve into that when people come to you and they want to start working out? And just as a coach and a cheerleader, how are you able to encourage people to continue on the process? Because um, exercise, though we know all of its benefits, can be stressful in itself. The notion that you have to go through to get there. Everybody wants to be cut, or everybody's embracing their thickness now too. And so how can I present the best you? But to get to the point where I think I'm being my best self, it can be work. So how do you navigate and help people uh,
I try
and as a personal trainer?
I try to be very honest with them at the beginning, and let them know that it's not easy. It will take work. I think that it's important to make sure people are aware of what they're getting into, because it's not easy. Like I said before, it's really mental. It comes down to it being um, a very mentally challenging thing. So I try to be very honest with them at the beginning that you will get out of it what you put into it. Um, that it will take work. It's going to come down to your diet, what you're feeding yourself, what you're consuming. It's not just the exercise; it's more diet and exercise combined. So I try to be very mindful of that at the beginning. Let them know you get out of it what you put into it, and it takes time. It didn't take you a month to put on 10 pounds, so it's not going to take you. It didn't take. It may have taken you a month to put on 10 pounds. You can put on 10 pounds very quickly.
Thanksgiving, Christmas. Yeah.
Am I breaking up?
You're good.
Was breaking up?
We'll wait. Go ahead. We'll wait. Just
Okay.
keep going.
Okay. So it didn't take you, a month to put on 30 pounds. So don't expect 30 pounds to come off in a month. Like it's gonna take some time. Give yourself the grace that you need to get through the journey. I try to make sure that people enjoy the journey. Let them know that they can take their time. There's no rush to get the weight off. Sometimes people do try to rush it for it to get inside of a dress or whatever. But I try to just be very upfront with them. Like give yourself some grace, give yourself some time. I let them know that from the first picture that I think you guys saw the before and afters, that was a year time. That took a year. And even with that, um, it took a lot of training myself on how to eat correctly, training myself on making sure I made time to get to the gym, making sure that my family still got what they needed. So, but that I could still get what I needed as well, because my health was more important. My health was very important to me at the time. So, I had given birth to my kids, and now it was like, okay, it's time for me. So I had to be sure that people are aware that that didn't happen overnight. Like that took a lot of time. That took a lot of sacrifice. That took a lot of retraining people in my life as well, letting them know, like, look, I'm important. My health is important, and I'm going to take this time out for myself. So you might just have to wait till I get from the gym or whatever the case may be before, we do family activities. So I make sure people are aware of that as well. Like you got to make the time for yourself. You got to cook your meals. You got to make your time to get to the gym. Take your family with you if you can. I do a lot of virtual workouts, and so I see a lot of kids, working out with us sometimes, and I'm okay with them. My kids are out there working out with me sometimes too, climbing
Hmm.
on stuff. I don't want to go through all of that, but they're climbing up on stuff behind me, and I'm just like, I got to
It's a
train my
family
people. My
affair.
people are here, a family affair. So you just got to be, I try to just be very upfront, let them know it's not easy. Take your time, give yourself some grace. You may mess up. It's okay. You can start over. You can start again. Um, but just, give yourself some grace. It's
How
not
much
easy. It's
time?
really,
How much time do you spend? How much information do they share with you about what's going on with them?
I get a lot of information from people, from relationship issues they may be having, confidence issues they may be having, um, struggles they may have with going into the gym by themselves. Sometimes they just don't know what workout to do. Um, spouses, may turn on them because now they are focusing on themselves, things like that. I get a lot of information from clients, and most of the time I've been there and done that so I can try to help them through it, because it again, you have to retrain people around you as well, because now you're maneuvering differently. So you got to help these other people around you maneuver with you if
That's
they
an
want to.
interesting thing. That is really deep because Kina and what you do in helping people transform in a different way. Uh, some people have typecast you. They are used to you being and looking and acting a certain way. And when you start changing it up, they're so accustomed to the you that is not taking care of themselves, who's not working out, who's not taking care of their hair, that they're not ready for the new you.
Mhm.
And that in itself can be a challenge. I'm comfortable with the old you though, the you that did not that was neglectful of yourself, that didn't take time. But this new you that's putting you first, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Kina, what do you do with some of the stuff you hear with from your clients?
Ooh,
All of that information, what do you do with it?
ooh. Um, Sometimes it can be a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, for me personally, I kind of have to pace myself. I have to have my own moments of meditation. I have to pray. I have to keep Kina, you know, I have to have my own self care regimen. I have to stop. I have to turn off the phone. I have to come home and be quiet, take a walk. Some of the things can be really heavy. I mean, I have um, a more recent experience where I had to help a young girl cut her hair off, 25
Mm,
years old, graduating from dental school. And I had to remotely, she was in Boston, I'm here in Atlanta, have to help her shave her hair off. And it was a 2 hour process because just have to take your time with it. This is, something she's going through. And some of my friends that were on the call with me that helped me through it, they're friends from Cincinnati. And one of them said, I didn't realize how many times you do this, but it's not anything you share with anybody else. When I have to do this, I do it with that one person. You wanted nobody else in the shop. You just want it to be a private experience. But for me personally, it's emotional. Um, I want to help them the best I can, but I also have to keep myself uplifted.
yes.
And that's working out, eating
Hmm.
better,
Hmm.
having good people around you, having a good village around you, having positive energy around you. And but that's part of the business that most people don't see, and they shouldn't see it. It just happened to me, and I would like to give a praise report that she finished her last chemo,
Mm.
and it's all no cancer.
Praise God.
So
Wow.
that
Wow.
that just happened recently. So
Wow.
those things, and then you lose clients. I mean, it's we do more than just hair. We do more than just hair for sure.
Dr. Moss, how critical is it for stylists like Keena and personal trainers like Ashley to not only have a passion and a heart for their craft, but a passion and heart for the person
Mm.
that they're practicing their craft on? How critical is that?
It's very critical. We talked a little bit about how this is part of this informal mental health network that we have in our community. That the barber, the stylist, the personal trainer, are people who are helping to validate people who are able to exhibit empathy as people are coming forth with their various challenges, and they're pouring themselves into them in addition to the skills that they have. So yeah, it's a vital part of our community. This is where we often receive and send out our health messages to the community. This is where a lot of people come for validation of their circumstance for themselves. So it's key. And I'm glad that Pina mentioned that she takes part in self care, because being part of this informal mental health network and helping people, you still have the burden sometimes that you want to take home. You're bringing home the challenges that other people have. Even the story of the young lady who had cancer and undergoing chemo. That's some pretty heavy stuff, to manage. And I'm sure that Ashley has stories of people who have their own struggles, and that led them to trying to seek, a personal trainer. So it's very important that people who pour into others are also poured into and pour into themselves with some good self care. So it's good to hear that they do that.
Yeah, that's critical because there is that old book that we often allude to called The Wounded Healer, that you're trying to heal people, and then yourself are in need of healing yourself.
Mhm.
So that's a good sermon when the healer needs to be healed. And
Mhm.
so a lot of us, we are helping people, but we are neglectful of ourselves. Ashley, as you look at your journey and what you have accomplished as a personal trainer, what might you say uh, has been your greatest challenge, and what has been most rewarding to you and what you do?
My greatest challenge, honestly, was just getting over my own fears of trying to help these people who needed help and wanted my help. Um, that was a challenge for me because I really um, just shied away from it for so long. But I was just in my own way, if that makes sense. Like I had the tools that was that I needed to be able to help these people, but I was just of fear is what it was. So that was the biggest challenge. My greatest accomplishment has just been helping so many women in Cincinnati, um, out of Cincinnati. I have some clients in Atlanta. I have some clients in Dayton, in Akron, in Chicago. I help some people there. So just being able to help so many people in different areas and women, especially mothers, um, has been a great joy. It's a big reward to be able to help women to make time for themselves and their health and their longevity because I knew it was a struggle for me. And once I got over that struggle and that fight with my spouse, um, it just became it became a reward for me to be able to help other women as well.
What's one of the things that you find yourself saying that lets them know as the journey gets tougher, gets harder to work out, that they've made the right decision?
I just try to remember to remind them that they are doing it for them and that we are important ourselves as a person, as an individual, as a mom, we're important as well. You know, we're taking care of everybody else, which is great, but we have to take care of ourselves as well so that we can be there for the other ones.
Keena, in what you do, like Ashley, is critical because, in a sense, you and Dr. Moss would agree that you all are frontline mental health workers because you are up close and personal with folks. And some people may come with just um, a sandbox bucket, and then others may bring a whole dump truck and just lay it before you, and then you've got to deal with that. Um, in what you do, Keena, because you alluded to you have to deal with you've dealt with persons who've had cancer, and has anyone ever requested that you do the hair of a deceased person?
Um, it has been, it's interesting. I actually wanted to do my own mother's hair at
Hmm.
her in Cincinnati, and her pastor was a family friend, and she went, and they also owned the funeral home. And Mrs. Jordan was like, Keena, we've got this.
Hmm.
If you're not happy, you can fix it. I was like, no, I must do my mother's hair. So it's that was probably my first experience with that. I've been asked to do it on another occasion, and for whatever reason, I didn't have to do it, and I wasn't really prepared mentally to do it.
Hmm.
Um, it was I was we were trying to talk through what does this mean, how does it work, but I didn't have to do it. But it's talking about people bringing a sandbox or a dump truck. It it happens at the most. You know, you don't know what somebody's bringing in the door. So in my shop, personally in my shop, I have jazz, no TV, very calm. It kind of makes you just relax when you come in the door. And it's always been that way because it just, I know people are going to bring stuff. So you just want to kind of set up the atmosphere so that it comes as calm as possible, you know. But that's probably my defense mechanism. Honestly, I never thought of it that way. But I do have jazz playing every day. Very, and I've had stylists in here like, Keena, I'm gonna fall asleep. You know, because it's so soothing. I'm like, okay, but you know, everybody's calm. Everybody's calm.
Hmm.
No gossip. No, it's just very calm atmosphere. But I never thought of it. It's probably my own defense mechanism to keep things calm in my space. To have some control of keeping things calm. You don't have any control, but yeah.
Well, well, I think that people come to. I think people come to you, Ashley. I think people come to you, Keena, because they identify in those areas as being controlled spaces.
Mm-hmm.
That there are areas that, in environment wise, there should not be any surprises. I know that if I come, Ashley, what we're gonna do, I know what my regimen is. I know what's gonna be the apex of my workout, and I know part of the workout when I want to just tackle you and say, okay, stop. And then I'm sure with Keena, I know if I have to go to the bowl, I know what you might say to me about the care or lack of care they've done and maintenance since they left you. They know all of that, but there should be some. It's a safe space. When people come to church, the main worship space is called the sanctuary, and the sanctuary is to be different from anything else that's out there. And so when they come to the salon, that's a sanctuary, and when they come to where you are, Ashley, the gym, that's a sanctuary. And Dr. Moss, when they come see you, if they bring a dump truck to Keena, right, and to Ashley, they bring a big monster truck to you. In closing tonight, Dr. Moss, by way of just connecting the dots, what would you say to these ladies and to those who, again, are intentional about involving themselves in self-care through working out and making sure their kitchens are together?
I think that when we think about a health, it takes various components, and these are two key components of that. And maintaining our physical health with good exercise and healthy eating, and then making sure that we take the time to engage in self-care with our appearance. Very important to how we see ourselves, how we want to present ourselves to other people with confidence, and not to mention the brain chemistry that we talked about. And then these two ladies and the great work that they're doing, and being able to pour into the other people. You mentioned sanctuary, and the other word that kind of goes along with that is ministry,
Yes.
and in part that's what it is, in being able to pour into people those very specific needs. So it's great, and glad to have you guys on the show tonight.
And it's great that you all are both ladies of faith, and I'm sure that when you're led, if opportunity presents yourself, sometime you either whisper a prayer or pray with people. And as you alluded to, that's an awesome thing to know that, in a sense, that not only is it your profession, but I can feel it. And Dr. Moss, I know he can feel it too. This your calling as well to do that. To our guests, thank you so much for availing yourself and sacrificing your time being with us today. And to our viewers, thank you for watching through all the things that may be going on one of our platforms, Facebook tonight. But as always, we want to encourage you, as we always do each week, to feel better, become better, and live better. Good night, everyone.